Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we're going to explore a painful family conflict. Did Chuk only want the truth? Or was his mother right to fear Mr. Yen's wealth would pull him away? If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next video. Chuk's mother arrived at her son's house with a face that already told everyone this was not going to be a normal visit. She did not call first. She did not send a message. She just appeared at the doorway, breathing heavily, her eyes filled with anger and hurt. The moment Chuk and his wife saw her, both of them immediately knew something was wrong. Chuk quickly stood up. "Mom, when did you get here? Why didn't you tell us you were coming?" But his mother did not answer gently like usual. She looked straight at him, her voice tight with emotion. "I came here today because I needed to talk to both of you. Yesterday you told me everything, didn't you? You told me that your father came looking for you. You told me you gave him your hair so he could do a DNA test." Chuk froze. His wife also became quiet. The atmosphere inside the house changed instantly. Just a moment ago, everything had been peaceful, but now it felt like a storm had entered the room. Chuk tried to speak carefully. "Mom, please calm down first. Let me explain." But his mother cut him off. "Explain what? I already told you many times. I told you not to have anything to do with that man anymore. I told you we have lived just fine without him. For so many years, it was only you and me. Did we lack anything? Did I let you suffer? So why did you still give him your hair?" Her voice grew louder with each sentence. It was not only anger, it was disappointment. It was pain that had been buried for many years and was now rising all at once. Chuk lowered his head. "Mom, I didn't mean to hurt you." "But you did," she said immediately. "You made me feel like you don't trust me. You made me feel like everything I told you about that man meant nothing." Chuk's wife stepped closer, trying to soften the situation. "Mom, please sit down first. You came all the way here. Drink some water, then we can talk slowly." But Chuk's mother did not want water. She did not want to sit calmly and pretend this was a small problem. To her, this was not just about a DNA test. This was about the man who had abandoned her and her son, now suddenly appearing again, as if he had the right to step back into their lives. She pointed toward Chuk, her eyes red with anger. "Do you know why I'm so furious? Because that man never raised you for even one day. He left us. He walked away when you were still small. All these years I carried everything alone. I worked, I worried, I raised you, and I never asked him for anything. And now he comes back, asks for your hair, says he wants a test, and you just give it to him?" Chuk looked helplessly at his wife, then back at his mother. "Mom, it wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" she asked. "Tell me, why did you do it? Was it because you still doubted me? Did you think I lied to you about your father? Or did you see that Mr. Yen has a big house, a nice car and property, so your heart started to change?" That accusation hit Chuk hard. "Mom, no, that's not true." But his mother was too emotional to stop. "Is that why you gave him your hair? Because you thought if the test proves you are his son, then maybe you can inherit something from him. A villa? A car? His company? Is that what you wanted?" Chuk immediately shook his head. "No, Mom, I never thought like that. You know me. Since when have I ever cared about his money? Since when have I ever asked for anything from him?" His mother's voice trembled, but her words were still sharp. "I don't know anymore. That's why I'm angry. I raised you all these years, but now you make me feel like you still want to reach toward that man. You make me feel like you don't believe your own mother." Chuk took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. He knew if he raised his voice, everything would become worse. His mother was not only angry about the test, she was hurt because she felt betrayed. "Mom, please listen to me. I didn't give him my hair because I wanted his property. I didn't do it because I didn't trust you. I just wanted to know what he would do after he got the truth. That's all." His mother stared at him. "What do you mean?" Chuk spoke slowly, choosing each word carefully. "He came to my workplace, Mom. He kept showing up there. He kept bothering me. I couldn't focus on work. I couldn't just chase him away every time. So I thought if he really wanted the test that badly, maybe after he got it, he would stop disturbing our lives." His wife nodded and added softly, "Mom, Chuk didn't mean anything bad. He was pressured. Mr. Yen kept coming around and Chuk didn't know how to handle it. But his mother was still not convinced. You think a man like him will stop after one test? You think he is that simple? I lived with him. I know what kind of person he is. If he were a decent man, he would never have abandoned us in the first place. Her words made the room fall silent. Chuk could see the pain in his mother's eyes. For him, Mr. Yen was a question from the past. But for his mother, Mr. Yen was an old wound that had never fully healed. Every time that name was mentioned, it was like someone had opened that wound again. Chuk softened his voice. Mom, I understand why you're angry. I really do. But I swear to you, I have never wanted his money. I don't care about his house, his car, or his company. My life now is not perfect, but I can work. I can take care of myself. I have my wife. We are building our own life. I don't need his property. His mother looked at him with doubt still in her eyes. Then why did you need to know whether he is your father or not? Chuk paused. This was the hardest part to explain. Because all my life, I only heard about him through pain. I knew he left us. I knew he hurt you. I knew you didn't want me to have anything to do with him. And I respected that. But when he suddenly appeared in front of me, kept saying he was my father, kept asking for proof, I just wanted to end it clearly. His mother's expression changed slightly, but her anger had not disappeared. Chuk continued, if the result says he is not my father, then he has no reason to bother us anymore. If the result says he is my father, then I want to see what kind of responsibility he thinks he can claim after being absent for so many years. But no matter what the result is, you are still my mother. You are the one who raised me. Nothing can change that. His wife gently touched his mother's arm. Mom, please don't think Chuk is choosing him over you. He isn't. He just handled it badly. He should have talked to you first, but he never meant to betray you. Chuk nodded immediately. Yes, Mom. I was wrong for not talking to you before giving him the hair. I admit that. But please don't think I did it because of inheritance. Please don't think I forgot what you sacrificed for me. For a moment, Chuk's mother did not say anything. The anger on her face was still there, but underneath it was sadness. Deep sadness. The kind of sadness that comes when a mother feels like the child she protected for a lifetime may be slipping toward the very person who hurt them both. Finally, she spoke again, slower but still firm. I'm telling both of you one more time. I do not allow this. I do not want you connected to that man. Whether he has money or not, whether he wants to give you property or not, I don't care. We don't need him. Chuk lowered his head. I understand, Mom. His mother stood up, her voice hardening again. If this happens again, don't blame me for being harsh. I have said what I needed to say. Mom, please don't leave angry, Chuk said quickly. But she had already turned toward the door. His wife followed a few steps behind her. Mom, please calm down. Chuk really didn't mean to hurt you. Chuk's mother did not turn back. Her heart was still burning with anger. But even more than that, it was burning with fear. Fear that Mr. Yen had returned not only to test blood, but to disturb the peaceful life she had spent years protecting. After leaving Chuk's house, his mother walked down the road with quick, heavy steps. She was angry, but the anger did not make her feel stronger. It only made her heart ache more. She kept thinking about Chuk's face. When she asked him whether he wanted Mr. Yen's property, she knew her son had denied it. She knew Chuk had said he did not care about the villa, the car, or the company. But as a mother, she could not stop worrying. For so many years, it had only been the two of them. She had raised Chuk with her own hands. She had carried all the hardship alone. When Chuk was sick, she was the one who stayed awake. When money was short, she was the one who worked harder. When people asked about his father, she was the one who swallowed the bitterness and protected him from the truth. And now, after all those years, Mr. Yen suddenly came back. Not with an apology, not with responsibility, but with a DNA test. The thought made her blood boil again. He never raised my son for even one day, she muttered to herself. Now he wants to take his hair, test his blood, and talk about inheritance? What kind of person does that? She stopped for a moment, breathing hard. In her mind, she could still hear Chuc saying he only wanted to know the truth. But to her, the truth was already clear. Mr. Yen had left. Mr. Yen had abandoned them. Whether the test said yes or no, that pain would not disappear. The more she thought about it, the more she felt she could not let this end at Chuc's house. If she only scolded her son, then Mr. Yen would continue doing whatever he wanted. He would continue appearing at Chuc's workplace. He would continue disturbing their peaceful life. And worse, he might slowly pull Chuc toward him, with talk of property and inheritance. "No," she whispered, "I have to go see him myself." She had known where Mr. Yan lived for a long time. She had never wanted to go there. He had his own family now, his own house, his own life. For years, she told herself there was no reason to step into that world again. But today was different. Today, he had crossed the line. When she arrived at Mr. Yen's house, she stood outside for a few seconds looking at the place he now called home. It was large, neat, and comfortable. Everything about it reminded her of the years when she had struggled alone. A bitter smile appeared on her face. "So this is the life he built after leaving us," she thought. Then she walked straight in. Mr. Yen was surprised when he saw her. He stood up quickly, not expecting her at all. "Why did you come here so suddenly?" he asked. "If there is something, you should have called first." Chuc's mother looked at him coldly. "Called first? Why should I call? Did you call me before going to my son's workplace? Did you ask me before taking his hair for a DNA test?" Mr. Yen's face changed slightly. He finally understood why she was there. "So Chuc told you?" "Of course he told me," she snapped. "What did you expect? You went to his workplace, bothered him, and took his hair. Did you think I would not find out?" Mr. Yen tried to stay calm. "Sit down first. You are angry now. Let's talk slowly." "I did not come here to drink water and talk politely," she said. "I came here to tell you clearly. Stay away from my son." Mr. Yen frowned. "He is my son too, if the result proves it." That sentence made her anger explode. "Your son?" she repeated. "Where were you when he was little? Where were you when he needed a father? Where were you when I had to raise him alone? You did not feed him, did not protect him, did not care for him. And now you suddenly want to call him your son?" Mr. Yen was silent for a moment. Then he said, "That is why I want to make it right now." She laughed, but there was no warmth in it. "Make it right? After all these years? Do you think giving him some property can erase everything?" Mr. Yen took a breath. "It is not about erasing the past. I know I made mistakes, but if Chuc is truly my blood, I want to leave something for him. I need the DNA test because legally, if I want him to inherit, I need proof. I cannot just write his name without clear confirmation." Chuc's mother shook her head. "We don't need your inheritance." "You may not need it," Mr. Yen said, "but what if Chuc needs it in the future? My son has a job, he has a wife, he has his own life. I raised him well enough that he does not need to wait for another man's money." "But this is not another man's money," Mr. Yen replied. "If he is my son, then he has the right to what belongs to me." She stepped closer, her voice sharp. "Do not use the word right now. When he was a child, did he not have the right to a father? Did he not have the right to be loved? Did he not have the right to be protected? You forgot all of that. But now, because you have no son to inherit your company, suddenly Chuc becomes important?" That accusation hit Mr. Yen directly. His face hardened, but he did not deny it completely. "I admit that I want someone from my bloodline to inherit what I built. My daughters will have their own lives. They will marry, and I will take care of them in another way. But the company, the family property, I want Chuc to have it if he is truly my son." Chuc's mother stared at him in disbelief. "So that is it? You are not looking for him because you missed him. You are looking for him because you need an heir." Mr. Yen's voice became lower. "It is not that simple. To me, it is very simple," she said. "You left him when he had nothing. Now that he is grown, married, and stable, you come back to disturb him. You talk about blood, about law, about inheritance. But where was your responsibility when he actually needed you?" Mr. Yen looked away for a moment. "I cannot change the past." "No, you cannot," she said. And that is exactly why you should stop trying to enter our lives like you still have the right. There was a long silence between them. Then Mr. Yen said, "The test result is not out yet. When it comes, I will know for sure. And if Chuk is my son, I will still prepare the inheritance documents. Whether you accept it or not, that is my decision." Chuk's mother's eyes burned with anger. "Then listen carefully. Even if the result says he is your son, I will not let him acknowledge you as his father. I will not let you use money to pull him away from me. My son is not someone you can abandon when life is hard and claim again when you need him." Mr. Yen sighed. "You are too emotional right now. Go home first. When you calm down, we can talk again." "There is nothing more to talk about," she said. She turned to leave, but before walking out, she looked back one last time. "I came here today to warn you. Do not think this will be easy. I gave my whole life to protect my son. I will not stand by and watch you disturb him because of your guilt, your will, or your property." Then she walked away. Mr. Yen stood alone in the room, his expression heavy but still determined. He knew she was furious. He knew Chuk might refuse him. But in his mind, the DNA result and the inheritance had already become things he had to finish. Outside, Chuk's mother continued walking, her chest still burning. She had not won the argument, but she had made one thing clear. No matter what Mr. Yen wanted, she would not let him easily step back into the life she had built without him. Chuk's mother becomes furious after discovering that Chuk gave Mr. Yen his hair for a DNA test. To her, this is not just a simple test, but a painful sign that her son may no longer trust her and may be tempted by Mr. Yen's wealth. Chuk tries to explain that he only wanted the truth and hoped the test would stop Mr. Yen from bothering him at work. But his mother cannot forget the past. She remembers raising Chuk alone after Mr. Yen abandoned them and fears he is now using inheritance to pull Chuk away. Unable to accept it, she confronts Mr. Yen directly. He insists the DNA test is necessary to leave property to Chuk, while she firmly rejects his money and vows to protect her son from the life she built without him all over again.